Hi, welcome to episode 205 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns, and we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. Hi, how are you? It is Sunday, October 27th. It is late in the afternoon. I just finished with a spinning Sunday that I hosted at my house. We have a group in kind of central and eastern Kansas, and we get together once a month to spin, and we rotate through people's homes. So October is usually my month, and I had 4 or 5 people here this afternoon, and we ate and snacked and spun. And I finished the singles for spin, so I'll have that to show you today. Otherwise, it has been a good but slightly crazy weekend. Yesterday, I did all the chores and then went out to a Halloween party last night. And then, like I said, today has been spinning. I got a 3.5-4 mile walk in this morning, which was nice. Since I have seen you, it has been a full week. I've done a ton of crafting, some of which I can show you, some of which I can't, so I'll have plenty of things to show you. And the weather here has totally turned fall. I took pictures of beautiful trees today that were orange and red, and it was not terribly cool today. Actually, it was in the 60s, so it was not cold, although when we went out for a walk this morning, it was in the 50s and a little bit windy, breezy. So it's just been a nice, crisp fall day. I think this evening we're just going to make a pizza and hang out at home and then start another week. It's amazing how when you pack weekends full of stuff, they just go by in no time. So I hope that you are having a lovely week, and thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, I hope you'll come back again. And if you came back again, thank you. I'm so glad to see you. Just a brief note that the Brown Sheep Fall Sweater Along is still going on in the group. I finished mine last week, but the knit along still goes till November 30th. That is knit a sweater, knit any sweater, in any brown sheep wool. So doesn't matter what weight, doesn't matter what size, and you'll be eligible to win prizes. So I hope if you haven't joined us yet, you might think about it. If you have any holiday knitting, you are more than welcome to double and triple dip. If you are looking to do Nanny Swaymo, which I am also in, National Knit a Sweater Month, you are more than welcome to double dip there. I am happy just to see more sweaters. So we have a few that are finished already in the group, and I would love to see a few more, so come join us. So let's get on with the podcast. Today's tea is Lemon Drop Black. This is from Tea Runners, which was a subscription that I did for a while. I stopped because I kind of got overloaded. But for 25 bucks a month, you can get a selection of 4 teas, each are 1 ounce, and are sourced by Tea Runners. This one is organic black tea, organic lemon peel, organic lemon verbena, and natural flavoring. So that is black tea lemon drop, and I am having it in my Sip Something Sinful mug, which was a gift from a friend. So, and I added just a touch of sweetener to this, but I thought it would be nice to have a black tea with a little bit of lemon in it. And that is quite good. The lemon is actually a little bit sour. It's really nice. Actually, I like that a lot. I also think it would be great when I have a cold, put some honey in there, and it will be just absolutely perfect. So I may save that one for days when I'm feeling poorly, although it is a lovely tea, so it doesn't have to be, but I really like that. So let's talk about the knits. This week I finished my socks. These are Mountain Colors. It is their Twizzlefoot sock base, which has silk and wool. Part of it is superwash wool, part of it is regular wool, and then part of it is silk. And I don't have the label with me, so I can't tell you exactly the specifications, but I did write a review of this sock yarn, which will be going up on my blog this week. And this is the colorway Snapdragon. The pattern that I chose to do is the London Bee Ridge socks by the Knitting Expat. That is Mina Phillip, and they are very simple socks just with the pearl ridge in there. And then she calls for a German short row heel, but I decided to do a heel flap and gusset. So these are done and ready to go on my waiting feet because it's getting cool. I really enjoyed this yarn. It's nice and silky. It feels good. It wasn't too splitty on the needles. It knit up very nicely. I didn't really have to rip, so I can't tell you how it holds up to ripping, but I'm sure it holds up beautifully. And that's about all I have to say about these, but I really enjoyed knitting them, and I love the colorway. It's really hard to capture. It's a dark pink, and then it's got bits of oranges and reds and browns, and even though they're pink socks, they totally remind me of fall because it's just got some great, let's see if you can see some of those colors in there. Yeah, that's showing up really nicely. So it's got reds and browns and oranges and some purples, and it makes the whole sock look really pretty, but it reminds me of autumn. So these are definitely autumn socks. So they are done, and it might look familiar, but I cast on a new sock last night and actually got fairly far into it. The party I went to was at the house of one of the knitters. So I cast on a smaller version of what I just knit. So as you'll see, I have a small sock that is the same London Bee Ridge pattern. I'm just adapting it for smaller size. And I got through the heel flap and most of the gusset last night. So I will be working on those and trying to get those done this week. Obviously, they are socks for Roxy. I have 1 or 2 pairs maybe for her and maybe a pair or 2 for her brother. And my deadline is basically Thanksgiving because that's when I see my family. So I am trying to crank some of those out. But like I said, I knit more than half a sock in several hours last night while I was hanging out and talking to people. So this should be pretty quick. I will work on these this week. And I'm fine if this laps over into November a little bit. That is on my list. I have a few other small balls of yarn. I should say that my socks, I have a size 6 foot, so my socks are not too hefty. Usually I use between 50 and 60 grams, and so the leftover 40 grams is almost always enough to get Miss Roxy a pair of socks. So that is what I'm doing, and I decided to just make her pattern match mine because I could knit her plain socks, but it was a simple pattern, so I decided to do it. Next on my whips, I have a slipper. So last week I showed you the soles to the slippers and said I was going to, well, I guess last week I didn't show you anything at all. 2 weeks ago I showed you the soles to the slippers and then said I was going to knit the top, and I got one of them done. I didn't get the other one done this week, but I will get it done. So this is the slipper. Now these are going to be felted, so they do look huge. But the top is green heather and the bottom is brown heather, and this is Briggs & Little Heritage yarn. It is kind of a rougher, more rustic yarn to work with, and held double, it's not the most pleasant. I am using size 11 needles as this pattern dictates. This pattern is Men's Felted Slippers by Monique Ray. It is different than the previous pattern that I was using for clogs, and I really like it. It seems like it is a little bit more intuitive, and I'm hoping that it will fit his foot well. I'm a little worried that it's going to be a little bit big. The one thing I do like about her pattern is that it gives a bunch of sizes, and so I was able to knit basically for his shoe size, but I'm just going to have to see how it felts down. So I need to do the second one this week, and then in the past, the Fiber Trends Felted Clog pattern calls for a double sole. And this pattern only calls for a single sole, but I discussed it with Wes and he thinks he'd like a double sole, and I bought enough yarn to easily do one. So my guess is the next thing I will do, well, I'll knit the other top, and then I'll probably knit 2 more soles and whip stitch them on, and then I will take them and felt them. And I will have to do that away from home because I have a top loader washer without an agitator, so I can no longer do those at home. But hopefully I will felt these and they will be lovely, and not a moment too soon because he poked a hole through his last pair. And actually he told me, oh, it was so funny because I said to him, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going as fast as I can. And he said, I know, but I've already turned my slippers inside out. And I was like, what? And he said, well, because you knit them with the 2 soles, so when the first sole got a hole in it, I flipped them inside out, and now I've worn through the second sole. I don't know what happened. I don't know whether Cascade changed their formulation, because I never used to have this problem, and he is not terribly hard on his slippers. He mostly wears them just around the house. And sometimes he wears them as socks, but I don't even think it's that they're rubbing because it's the outside sole, not the inside sole that's getting all the wear. So I don't know what's going on because I just knit him this pair last year for Christmas and they shouldn't have worn out this soon. But anyway, so he wore them inside and outside. I wore them right side out and then inside out. So I'm working on some new ones. So these are his slippers, and hopefully, well, I will I am trying to get these done by the end of November. So my plan is to try and maybe knit the top of one tonight and then knit the bottoms in the next couple days. So I do want to finish those. Third project on the needles, I showed you last week. I've gotten a little bit further. I haven't spent a ton of time on this. This is like one of those things I pick up when I just need a few seconds. This is Roxy's, I was going to call it her Amazing Technicolor Dream Scarf after Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dream Coat. This is the Noro 2-row scarf by Jared Flood. And he wrote it, it's not a super original pattern. He wrote it for knitting two different colorways of Noro and striping them, and I am using a variety of Cascade 220 Superwash, and then I have one skein of, this is Stella Jacques from Adriaphil, and it is the kind of rainbowy one and the one that's giving me all the interesting colored stripes. I had one of those and I decided I would just stripe it with all kinds of other stuff. And so I have leftovers of Cascade 220 and I'm just starting to, I just ran out of the pink and started the blue. So we are starting on kind of blue in the rainbow, and I also have green and red and yellow, and we'll just see how far I get. My plan is to make this about 4 feet. I would guess I'm at probably almost 2 feet. So this is working up super quickly. It's just a 1x1 rib, 39 stitches on a US 7, which is, like I said, basically Jared Flood's pattern. And I am slipping the first stitch of each row because it gives it a nice border. So, but just a quick scarf for Roxy in all the colors, so it will go with whatever hats and scarves, or hats and mittens she wants to wear it with. So that is the last thing on my needles. Technically, there is one more big thing on my needles. It is a design for a baby blanket that I'm doing, and I'm about 4 rows from bind off. So I am planning to finish that and block it this weekend, send the pattern out to the tech editor. I have one test knitter who is working on it right now, and I have one who's about to start, but I'm probably not going to hold it for them. I'm probably just going to let them continue to work through it at their own pace, and once I get it back from the tech editor, I will publish it. It is a cabled blanket, and I used Brown Sheep Stratosphere. So I will bring that to show you next week, but that's probably, well, at least 1,200 yards worth of yarn that I have worked through, not on camera. So I have actually been doing a lot this month. I just haven't been able to share it all with you. So, dream knitting. Last week I talked about, or what's next on my needles. Last week I talked about Nanny Swaymo. I still have not wound up the yarn and swatched for that, but Nanny Swaymo starts on Thursday, and I will definitely be casting on Thursday because knitting a sweater in a month is always a challenge, so I definitely need to start at the beginning of the month. Excuse me. The other pattern that came out in the last week and a half or so that I have been kind of interested in knitting is the Night Shift shawl. That is by Andrea Mowry, Drea Renee Knits. And she knit hers in Spin Cycle yarns. She used 6 colorways, and it calls for like between 900 and 1,000 yards of worsted weight yarn. And the yarn that she used, Spin Cycle, if you haven't seen the pattern, it's a very pretty triangular scarf, or triangular shawl slash scarf. And basically it's, she's working with only 2 colors at any given time, but it kind of has some textural changes and some color work. And so, it's a very, very pretty, beautiful looking shawl. And the yarn that she uses is Spin Cycle yarns, which are, I don't know that they're commercially spun, but they are made to look like hand spun. They hold different colors together, so it gives the marled barber pole look. And the kit that comes with it is absolutely beautiful, but at almost $200, I could not justify buying it when I have bins and bins and bins of handspun. So this weekend I did a little Instagram live and I picked out a whole bunch of colors that I think are going to be my nightshade. So I will show you briefly. The skein that I started with is Into the World Celine. This was a Crazy Twisted and Arbitrary Spinners colorway from, I think I said Into the World, and it was a Crazy Twisted and Arbitrary Spinners Sal like spin along, and it is beautiful. It is teals and reds and white, and I just love it. And so I picked that skein as my first skein. And the second skein I picked out, I'm going for a lot of contrast here because I would like to be able to see all the different colors, but I also think they play nicely together. The second skein, this is Octarine. This was Spunky Eclectic, and I got it a couple of years ago as part of the Southern Cross Fiber Mega Sal. They were all colorways based on the Discworld series by Sir Terry Pratchett. And so these are the two that I started with, and I feel like there's a nice contrast there. The third skein that I picked was because I wanted something super light. And this is Hello Yarn Urchin. I spun this actually very recently. It's pinks and peaches and golds and whites. And so I felt like that was like a really nice contrast there. And I wanted something brighter and darker. And this is one of my favorite skeins. This was from Three Waters Farm. It was also a Crazy Twisted and Arbitrary spin along. It was called Magic Quilter. And I cannot believe that nobody snapped this up out of my shop. I loved this braid and I didn't even want to put it up in the shop because I loved it so much. But I put it up because I was like, why not? I don't have any immediate plans for it. It didn't get snapped up, so I pulled it out of the shop, and it is now my fourth color here. So these are the four colors that I had first, and I realized I had two blues, so I needed to get something else in there. So the next skein that I picked up was this one that I spun fairly recently. This is 2F by Hand Block Party. I'm sorry, no, this is Nest Fiber Block Party, not 2F by Hand. And it is pinks and purples, and so I thought that added another kind of dimension to it. I'm trying to see that I can get all these in. So that's that. And then I needed a fifth skein because it calls for 6 colorways. And I decided to do something kind of autumny flavored. So I believe this is Peak Color, which is perfect for right now because it is fall and autumn abounds and all the trees are red and orange. And so this is kind of a creamy yellow and orange and browns. And so that is my set. I posted this yesterday on Instagram, but that is the set that I am trying to use for my night shift. Now, I haven't 100% decided on these because I feel like I have more dark colors than I have light colors. And if I want to go for maximum contrast, I probably should put another light color in there. Excuse me. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think this is what I'm going to do because I love all of these colors and I think they're going to be really nice together. And I think I'm just going to try and stagger the colors as I work with them to add like maximum contrast to what I'm doing. So that is kind of dream knitting what's on my needles. I hope I will cast this on this week. I don't know whether I will for sure, but it is definitely needles adjacent as soon as I finish a few of these other things. So that is sort of bridging the handspun into spinning. Spinning wise, I finished my Berries on a Bush, which was Hello Yarn Falkland. I spun one braid all the way through and I spun one braid fractally, or I spun one braid tearing it into strips. So now I'm ready to ply and I am hoping that I will have a nice fractal spin. So this was the first bobbin and I finished the second bobbin today. Now what do you notice about those? Right? I don't know. I think I spun the second one slightly thicker than the first, but not a lot. And I looked all around. I don't think I lost a piece of the braid. I weighed the bobbins and there's 25 grams difference between them. So, and Wes was like, are you sure the bobbins weighed the same at the start? And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I did get them at different times and they did change their cores a little bit. But I don't know what happened here. And I'm kind of sad because I had intended on using this for a shawl. And if I don't get the yardage that I need for the shawl, I'm not really sure if I'm going to pair it with something else or what I'm going to do. So these are my bobbins. I'm probably going to wind this one off into a center pole ball so that when I run out of this one, I can just use whatever's left of this one, even though it won't be entirely fractal. The end will be just weird. But I guess I'm just going to apply these together and see what I get and see what happens. And if I don't have enough to do the shawl that I want to do, then I guess maybe I'll just throw this up in the shop and figure out something else. So that was a little disappointing when I finished that at spinning this afternoon, and I was like, those bobbins look nothing alike. Now, of course, I might have gone wider on these parts, so maybe it's just a trick of the, well, it's not a trick of the, it's probably not a trick of the imagination because of the fact that they weigh differently. So, I don't know what happened here, but DRAT? Anyway, so more to come on this one. I did go ahead and pick another braid for spinning. This one is a very recent Hello Yarn club, and I didn't even look to see what the fiber... Oh, yes, I know what the fiber is. Okay, this is a recent club. I can't remember if this was last month's club. If it was, it came at the very beginning of October, so everybody should have it by now, so I'm not going to feel bad spoiling. This is Hover, and it is on Rambouillet. And I love Rambouillet. It's like spongy and springy, and I really enjoy spinning it. I didn't spin it for a while because I wasn't sure I would like it, because that makes as much sense as anything else. I mean, why wouldn't you just try something if you don't know what it feels like? I don't understand why you would... Why I would say I don't think I like it. Just, I don't know. I think maybe I have a friend who doesn't like spinning Rambouillet, and so I was like, oh, I probably won't like it. And then I spun it and I loved it. So yeah, so that's my little... just try it. Rambouillet. And so that is pinks and purples and, well, mostly purples and blues and some kind of orangey tans. And I think that will be a nice braid. I'm just going to spin that up and probably pop that one in the shop. I have a couple braids of Corriedale set aside so that I can make some sock yarn for me, but I'm also trying to keep the shop stocked up. If you want to do any of these fading projects in handspun rather than... you know, if you want to do a night shift, or there's also a cowl that only calls for 3 skeins of handspun, if you want to do them in handspun and you want to talk to me about that, please feel free to contact me, because we can work out some colors, or you can purchase some fiber and send it to me, or you can buy some that are in my shop and we can work something out. So this will be my spin for this week. And what else? Ply-Away registration was this morning. I don't know if any of you are going to Ply-Away. Ply-Away is the annual spinning convention put on by Ply Magazine. This year will be the 4th year, and I am just super lucky because J.C. Boggs-Faulkner, who is the editor of Ply and Ply Magazine, and the woman in charge of Ply-Away, lives in Kansas City. So she has it here, and I go downtown and enjoy spinning for several days, and I enjoy meeting you. I have several podcast viewers who have come into town for various conventions, and we've met for tea and knitting and whatever else, and some people that I look forward to seeing every year. So registration opened this morning. Several classes are sold out. I am going to take a class on spinning from silk hankies, which I have always wanted to do, and I actually have a couple sets of silk hankies that I have never spun because I don't know how to. So I'm going to take a class from someone named Amy Tyler. I am not familiar with her, but all the Ply teachers are of the highest caliber of spinning teachers, so I am not concerned about that. I did want to take a class with Judith McKenzie, but most of those sold out right away, so I did not get in for that. So my class is Tuesday afternoon, so I will definitely be around on Tuesday if anyone is interested in lunch or dinner plans. And then I will certainly be back for the market, and or would be happy to come and spend lunchtime or an afternoon with someone during the week, because it is not super far from me. So if you, if we have not met before and you're interested, let me know. Otherwise, I hope some of you will register, and it's a great convention. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a spinning retreat. And they've got a lovely vendor market that I always spend way too much money at. So come say hi. I guess that is about it. I'm holding my warm tea mug and it feels really good in my hands. It's not that cold in here, but I'm just enjoying it. So I guess that's all I have for you today. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you again next week. Until I see you again, happy knitting, happy sipping, happy spinning. Let's try it again. Happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.